Vous parlez français? Mais bien sûr, après ces cours, je suis devenue un professionnel. So, learning French in Paris. Oh my goodness, what a story is that, huh? I'm sure if you're an au pair or a student or someone coming to live in Paris, you may be completely overwhelmed at all the options of the French schools that you could be going to. Of course, a quick Google search can show up with many different French schools that I'm sure are wonderful that you could go to. But the problem with mostly au pairs and many other people is that a lot of these classes are super expensive. So today I wanted to bring up a couple options for the people who are looking for maybe lower cost options for French school, but also people who are, looking for maybe something specific to au pairs or a whole mix of things. I'd really like to bring up some of these things that are a little bit more hidden in the internet that I had to find myself through a lot of digging and a lot of personal research. Some advice in general for picking a French school, I'd say to look at the prices at an hourly rate and be really specific about it. So you can have a look in the specific dates of the courses, which days they're going to be holidays, and the hours and things, and do a little bit of a calculation to find out, okay, how many hours am I actually going to be getting out of this course, and how much am I going to spend for every hour that I'm there, and maybe use that to help you make a decision about which French course is a better use of your money. I'm definitely not saying that the courses that are more expensive are not worth it. It completely depends on your priorities, and I so respect people that really want to invest their money in their French school. But of course, some people are not able to do that, and they still need to have great options of other ways they could learn French. So let's get into all the different options that I found for you to take French classes in Paris. Enjoy! So the first area that I'd like to talk about is the most common and popular one for au pairs in Paris, which are classes that are targeted specifically for au pairs. They usually call them au pair classes. And one of the great parts about these classes is they often do the schedule around the times that au pairs are usually available. Most au pairs have the same schedule, and almost every au pair works from about 4 p.m. till the evening. So they usually target their classes to be either like 10 to 12 a.m. or even 11 to 1 or 2 to 4 or something like that, something that's doable for au pairs. They also avoid Wednesday classes as au pairs usually work then, and things like that. So the first class that many au pairs go to is called École Étoile. And this is actually a school that I went to for my first 3 months here as an au pair. I started just a few days after I arrived, and it's a pretty good class. I really enjoyed my teacher, and there are many au pairs who really enjoy the classes and get a lot out of it. So for the fees for this kind of class, so for Étoile, it's a trimester basis. So there's 3 different sessions throughout the year from September to about June. So for each trimester, it varies slightly what the price is, but it'll be between 390 and 490 euros for the trimester. And I remember the trimester is about 9 to 11 weeks or somewhere around there. So if you want to kind of do the math on that, it's also 4 hours a week of 2 days, so 2 hours each class. The next class is called France Lang, or France Lang, or however you want to say it. It is a very similar structure. All three of these au pair classes are incredibly similar, have similar price points, and they all have pretty mixed feedback from different au pairs. So the fees for France Lang is slightly lower than Étoile. It's 295 to 380 euros for 10 weeks. It's also got this trimester structure, so 3 sections per year, and it's 4.5 hours a week and 2 days a week in class as well. So very similar to Étoile. Then there's Campus Lang, which is a very popular school amongst many people, not just au pairs, just because they have a reputation for having pretty affordable classes, but also having quite a lot of options for people with different needs. So Campus Lang is also, it's about 235 euros for a 10-hour per week class, and that is over 4 weeks. Great systems. It also has, other than their au pair classes, they've got great 20-hour per week courses that many au pairs end up taking after their au pair year to switch to a student visa and do that and change up their style of living here. So and one of the best things about Campus Lang is that you can actually sign up at many different sessions in the year, unlike the first 2 programs that we've discussed. So it makes it a lot easier for people who maybe are not arriving at those specific trimester times, which makes sense. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about some online class options, because I know especially there are many au pairs who actually don't live in Paris. There are many au pairs that live a little bit further out. Like, for example, me, I live in a suburb called Saint-Germain-en-Laye. I'm currently going to an online school myself. I'm going to a school called LGFLE. So it is a very small school. I heard about it through another au pair on an au pair group chat that we have. But these classes are really great. You can do group classes for 80 euros a month for 2 days a week and 2 hours per class, which actually equals out to only 5 euros an hour. So it's pretty unmatched in the value. So it's really awesome, and I really enjoy my teacher. She's amazing, and she puts in a lot of effort to make sure that my classes are really well thought out and really awesome. I can't recommend this school more, because as much as they're a small school, it means that they really do care about the people that they're teaching. And this is not a school only for au pairs at all. Anyone can go to this school. It's just an online class. They have 3 different time options that you could do: morning, afternoon, or evening, and a few different day options as well, of which days you want to choose. Then the Alliance Française I wanted to talk about was actually the Normandy branch offers au pair specific classes. So the Normandy branch is based in Rouen, which would definitely be too far away to go for someone based in Paris every single week. But the great thing about their au pair classes is that they actually offer a hybrid model. So you can go into class, or you can join the class online through a videotape. Now, I really cannot tell you honestly what the quality of the actual hybrid model is. Does it work out well? Is it actually useful? I can't tell you that, but it sounds like a great way to get the Alliance Française experience, but at a little bit of a lower price and at an au pair quality. So for 8 hours per week for 8 weeks, it's 500 euros. So definitely you're getting more hours per week as many other au pair classes, but slightly less weeks, maybe about 2 or 3 less weeks than a lot of au pair classes. But I think it generally will even out to be, I don't know, approximately the same cost. I didn't crunch the numbers. There's also something called Lingoda, if you've never heard of it. They have classes that you can join, group classes or private classes based for French. But one of the best things that they offer is at certain times through the year, they offer the Lingoda Sprint. So how that works is you can either choose, it's a 2-month program, and you can either choose a program where you can be reimbursed half of the money of the course, or you can be reimbursed the entire cost of the course if you succeed in the sprint. Of course, this is a very high-risk, high-reward program. There are so many videos on YouTube already about the details of the Lingoda Sprint. I'm not going to get into them. There's a lot of rules and little things and certain things that you've got to do, but it's definitely something to look into. Of course, for au pairs, it would be great to be able to be reimbursed the whole cost and essentially get a free course, even though you do have to pay quite a big fee up front. So yeah, I'd highly recommend you to look into that if you'd like. Now I'd like to talk a little bit more about some of your cheapest options. These are really the juicy nitty-gritty stuff that I'm sure most people came to the video to hear about. These are things that it's hard to find information about these classes, and they're very rare, and so I just wanted to bring up some of these classes. So many of these are run by community organizations, and they're often targeted more towards people in need, and of course if people in need are taking up the whole of the classes, it makes sense that they will not prioritize someone like au pairs who kind of do have the capacity to pay for classes if they really need to. But many of them accept anyone as long as they have space. So one of the greatest ways to get cheap, high quality, and really thorough classes is through the mairie of Paris. So there's, it's called Cours d'Adulte de Paris, and it's 300 euros for 120 hours of classes. So I can't remember exactly how many weeks that would equal to, but it's quite a lot. So it's 4 days a week, and I believe about 2 hours each class. So you can do the maths about how much that evens out to. But the reason they're so cheap is because it's run by the government. So obviously it's heavily partially funded by the government, and these classes are booked up super duper quickly. So you have to be really on your ball if you want to get into these classes. I'd highly recommend to go right now and see on the website when the new classes start. I know they even have summer classes starting very soon, and they have semester classes. I believe they split the year into 2 halves. And they are an amazing, amazing opportunity for learning French if the schedule and the times and everything works out. Secondly, I'd like to mention Association Margot. This is another school that was brought up in one of the au pair group chats that I'm a part of. The information is found on Facebook. They make posts of when they have new courses coming up, new starting dates, and which times and which levels for each class. So this association is much better for people who are A1, A2, because their B1 and B2 classes are a lot more rare. I'm not sure if they have any C1 or C2 classes, so definitely better for more beginner classes. And they're very cheap. They're only about 200 euros for about 8 weeks of classes, 6 hours per week over 2 days in the week. And they have many different time slots of like evenings, they have weekends, they have daytime and stuff like that. So it's quite useful. And they have starting dates that start really regularly, so you can start with them almost any time. So that's very helpful. Then the next option, the next things I'll discuss are a couple ones that are essentially free that you can find in Paris. A lot of them have a very, very small like starting fee of kind of just mainly administrative costs, and after that there's no actual course fee. So first up, there's Association Philotechnique Paris, and this association actually has tons of classes on almost any topic you can think of. They have stuff like for dancing, for many different languages. They have like art classes, writing classes, like on different like topics, anthropology and all kinds of stuff. But one of obviously the most popular is their French classes. And it's usually about 30 euros as a sign-up fee for their courses that go for quite a while. I think a few months or at least a few weeks. Then there's Montparnasse Rencontre. I have heard some good things about them, and it's 100 euros for the whole year. It's 2 times a week and 2 hours for each class. So that's a really great option, and they also have day and evening time slots as options and availabilities. Then we have your local Croix Rouge Francais. So not every single one has French classes, but many of the Croix Rouges in the suburbs and all over France, not just in Paris, many of them have French classes. So that is something that you should look into. I'd recommend honestly just walking into the local Croix Rouge and asking them if they have French classes and their options, and maybe they can direct you to a different organization if they don't. So that's a really great option as well. And I have heard of 1 or 2 people who have taken classes at the Croix Rouge and said it was great, and it was like really good quality. So hopefully it is for you too if you decide to do that. There's also a ton of Paris Anim centers around Paris. They do many different things, but one of them is to hold French classes. I'd recommend you look into them in general as well. It's quite nice. And it's usually only 15 euros for the whole year, but it varies a lot. And I have also never been to a class there. I haven't heard of anyone who goes to classes there, but I believe the classes are not so much like many other classes, for example at Étoile or Campus Lung or Sorbonne or something like that, where it's a little bit more academic. You're following a set organized program for the class. I think these classes are a little bit more about actual life in France and talks a lot about also culture in France and a little bit more specific information and learning towards actual real life examples, which is actually a really great way to learn French. So they'll obviously sometimes bring up some grammar elements and things, but it's not so structured. So I'm not going to go into every single option of the free classes in Paris because there's actually so many, but I'm going to leave below 3 links to 3 different websites and PDFs that you can look into. So the one of them is called Réseau Alpha, and they have a map of all the different like community French courses that are offered. And It's you can, go to where you live or maybe where you'd like to take French classes, and you'll be able to see very easily what your options are. And it's really great, and it often includes a link from that website to the class's website to be able to get more information, which is really great. And then there's also the Paris mairie actually made a whole document talking about the different places that you can learn French in Paris and different locations in a pretty variety of prices, but almost all of them are really cheap or free. So they're really great. And then the last link is just generally some advice from the city of Paris telling you how to learn French. So I hope these French courses were very useful for you. I really hope that someone is finding this really useful and helpful. Please let me know if you end up going to one of these classes and you enjoyed them, and I am looking forward to continuing to make some awesome informative videos about things that a lot of au pairs need help with and might not be so easy as a first-time au pair, especially in Paris. So I will see you guys soon for another video. Goodbye!